Oh, Friday vibes. Sarah, God, it's so good to see you again.
Hey Tony, good to see you. Happy
Yeah,
Friday.
it feels like so much has kind of expired since the last time you and I really sat down and dug into a deep, podcast on all things Sarilla. I don't know um, how many people have heard some all of our new listeners. It's like they got to go back and kind of listen to
hmm
all these great old brands that I've had on. So that's why I thought it's super important because I've seen you out in stores, and I just want to give everyone
Yeah,
another kind of quick kind of overview of kind of Sarilla. We got Sara Delany. What I love about the story is I found you from TED. That's what was super interesting to me. But
that's right.
um, uh, Sarilla is made with these organic tea leaves and botanicals that you grow on your regenerative farms over in Rwanda, and that really kind of attracted me because I thought this was kind of an interesting purpose. I think in 2022, BevNet Packaging Award, um,
December,
and
yeah.
and right, and then of course TED Speaker. And see, I just think that uh, I think consumers are attracted to brands that they understand. You know,
Mm,
they want to support an entrepreneur that's a mission-driven company, and that's like important to me. I want to promote brands that I believe are different, better, and special in some way. And so didn't you just recently go to Rwanda, kind of get back to kind of where it all started, kind of a nice refresher for you?
yeah, thankfully, it had been too long because I was used to going at least a couple times a year. But we were back there in January, which was amazing, and took a small group as I usually do. I try to open up the trip to other folks who want to see our work on the ground, and they were able to not only like see our work at the farm and spend some time with our primary partners at Ubuzima Healing Garden Farm, do some service work, but also just really see the country. And they got to do the gorilla trek,
Oh, that
which
sounds amazing.
I mean, the gorilla trek is so I lived in Rwanda in 2009. And when I was a resident there, I got to do the gorilla trek for, I think, I don't even want to say it was like less than $500, but today it's more for tourists. But it complete at the time I was like, do I want to spend this money like to go to the jungle? And it
Right.
was life
Worth it.
changing, completely life changing. I mean, the memories, and it's just you're trekking out into the jungle. You don't know when you're going to see them. You're with trekkers, so they know. But
Are you
um,
hiking? Is this like a
oh,
hike or are you on
oh
in
yeah,
like a
hiking.
ATV?
No, no, no. It's all hiking, like very, it's rugged terrain. There's different levels of hiking you can do. You bring like a walking stick. It's a whole thing. You could be out there for half a day. You could trek for an hour and see them. You might trek for 3 hours. But once you see them, it's just the most amazing feeling. Like that moment you see this Virunga mountain gorilla in the wild. I mean, you never want to go back to a zoo again. It's really,
Kind
really,
of
I mean,
heartbreaking when you
it's like
think
you
of it.
look into their eyes and it's just, it almost is a reflection of like our past. I can't explain it.
I could
Um,
just imagine you, you see them and you just like, you just not shelter in place, but you just stop,
that's
right?
what you
Like,
do. That's
don't
what you
move.
do. And that's exactly what the guides do. They're like, "Okay, everyone settle
Stop.
in." Like, and the clock starts ticking. You have about an hour because they don't wanna, like, overburden the gorillas with too much visitation, so they're really
Mm.
careful. And so, yeah, if they come to you and, like, babies will come and, like, touch your hair, and it's
Oh, so
crazy.
you like, can actually interact?
Yeah, only if they come to you. You can't go towards them.
Right, right. If they come up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that
Yeah.
would be seriously a life change. So when you went in January, did you do this again? Did you go do the gorillas? Did you
I
get
didn't.
any?
I brought my guests to do it. I
Yeah,
I brought them and then left and picked them up.
right.
And one of the guests, Malia, she had a gorilla touch her twice. Like this teenage gorilla kind of came and like pushed her on the back, like playfully. And then it happened a second time. She said it was just like it was the highlight of the trip, she
Oh my
said.
gosh.
Yeah.
I would I'd be so tempted to, like, have a GoPro or something just to
Uh,
watch. I don't know if they allow that kinda thing, but
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
to kind
Yeah.
of
You take
to
lots of pictures.
to
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
Well, see, I to me, I think it's important for people to understand kind of what's behind the brand.
Mhm.
There's only so many things that you as a beverage entrepreneur can do to try to connect with those consumers. So
Mhm.
when they know more of the story and the brand and they see it on shelf, it's not just a beverage. At least that's how I think of it,
Mhm.
in my exposure, to
Yeah.
these wonderful entrepreneurs that I meet. So, where are consumers finding you right now in retail?
Well, and something you just said brought to mind. I was on my morning walk this morning, actually listening to um, the In the Sauce podcast, and it was an interview with the founder of IQ Bar, and he said something really that resonated with me, which was like when people talk about crowded categories, like let's say, oh, the beverage category is so crowded or so competitive, or the bar category is so competitive. It's like let's kind of get down to like there's a lot of different categories within that category. So within beverage, I mean, there's a lot of different types of beverages. And so if you really start like leveling down, how many beverages are there that are made with regenerative ingredients? How many beverages are made with like without preservatives that are organic, and then all these other values plus flavor plus function. That's when I think it gets to be more interesting to look at like what is the playing field that we're in, and what is the actual competition based on who our shared consumers are.
True.
And that's
They
how
would
we
have to
all.
know that. I mean, they would have to perceive and know that there is a difference for them to then choose. So that kind
Mhm.
of goes back again to you is like, how do you portray that on shelf? How does that come across
Mhm.
in POS? And how do you educate
Yeah,
your consumer? And that's really what I wanted to talk about because I
yeah.
I see you on LinkedIn a lot. And I know you've got a YouTube channel now too, right?
Yeah, I
How's
I
that
haven't
going?
I haven't been that active. I just thought it'd be fun
Eh,
because I have all these great conversations with people like you and like our brokers and partners, and I just thought, you know what, why don't we start recording some of these? And it just takes it
oh
takes
my
time
God.
and work, and I got to do
Listen,
my hair, and
do
I don't like
you
doing
have it? Do you know how long it takes me to get this ready?
it's too
30
much.
30 seconds, nothing.
I know my husband's bald. I'm like so jealous. He gets
You're
ready
like,
in
"Oh my
15
god."
minutes.
Well, your solution is just put a hat on, okay?
Exactly. You don't want to
Boom.
see what's
Push
under
your
here.
throw your, little merch on right there, you got
Yeah,
it
yeah,
done.
yeah.
So, no, I'm very sympathetic to that. Our podcast, yeah, it's just audio. It just the editing makes it so much easier. So I respect that, and I do think it's a good idea to have a YouTube channel. People can can
But
can find you.
I like how people do it in chunks. Like if we could just allocate, okay, this is the day we're gonna do 3, 4 conversations
Yep,
and
chunk it
chunk it
up.
up. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah.
And well, Jennifer's not here today, but she's my marketing guru behind the scenes, so she definitely helps me with that. So it's just another expense. You got to have someone that you can only do so much. Okay,
True.
so roughly, okay, you're kind of a regional player right now, correct?
Regional, but multi-regional. Yeah. So
Multi-regional.
we're
Okay.
kind of skipping over a couple of regions. We're not national yet, but we are working with the main national distributors. So we're currently I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. We started here. We did our proof of concept, product market fit. We actually launched as a food service item. Sarilla was in kegs. So my goal was to have a better for you alcohol free option in breweries because I'm in like the brewery capital of the country.
You are Asheville is
I
like
mean, and even
you
today
need an
there's
option.
new ones popping up. Yeah, there's a brewery on every block, and there just are not enough. And we go there. I've been sober for 17 years.
It's a great
We
story too,
People
Sarah.
go there to have food, to meet friends. Like we're going to Smoky Park Supper Club tonight to meet friends, and they'll probably have drinks. Hopefully, we'll have something to drink, but it's still kind of iffy. Um, so I always bring Sarilla with me wherever I go.
Oh, you just like you
I
look for
do.
something
I
good on
seriously do.
it's like, let me check the options.
I am. I'm
Not
like,
as
if you
good as
don't have
this.
it, do you mind if I have this? Like,
I can imagine you gotta figure out a way to keep it cold. You probably have, like, a
oh,
whole
I have
'nother
ways. I have ways.
exactly, like those little
It's like
freezer
built in.
things.
I should have
Oh
like
my
a
god.
cooler jacket, like a stylish
That
cooler
is so
jacket.
funny.
I open it up
Whoop.
and it's like bullets in my.
It's like, what would you like? Now okay, so, you've got some new flavors too, right?
Mhm.
What are the options? Because 'Cause I'm out. I mean, I have run through
Yeah.
my inventory. I'm out of Sarilla, so I gotta go and
Yeah, I
reload.
know. So
So
we
what are
are
the new
sold
flavors?
we're besides the Southeast, we're sold in the North Atlantic region. We just opened up actually today we launched into pop-up grocer in New York City. So they just did a new rotation for the summer. And we're in natural grocers, chipping away at that account from the Rockies out to Pacific Northwest and then Northern California, mainly selling natural grocery stores, independent co-ops, um, and doing some on-premise now as well. So getting into colleges,
Oh,
universities,
good.
quick serve restaurants, some
Yeah, I would think that'd be big
hospitals,
on college.
healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
I
think that
learned a
would
new
be
term yesterday, which is non-com. Non-com.
yeah, non-commercial, non-com. Yeah, yeah, non-com is hospitals
Yeah. Schools,
and yeah, and I think that
events like athletic stadiums.
right.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good play, particularly for the younger, crowd because they can get behind, they can adopt, they can find a product that has a mission that they get behind, and then they become influencers. So they want it. They start looking for it, and that helps you give that data back to the retailers.
Yeah.
And that's really what I wanted to talk to you about because, I've been in the space now for about 3 years. I've interviewed close to 200 or so executives. I'm fascinated by how you guys support your brand in retail. And I kind of wanted to pick your brain, that's so important, right? You get it into retail and now you got to get it off the shelf.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's key, and I think a lot of founders start out maybe naively with a lot of great excitement, thinking, I'll never forget like the first grocery chain I landed, and it's this moment of like we've made it, and oh my god, how am I gonna fill this, massive
Right.
PO? So it's excitement and terror combined, but now, like, after the reality sets in and you realize just like and I posted this morning on LinkedIn, like, getting placing product is much different than selling product, and I think that's where a lot of, maybe first-time founders get a little jaded or they just don't understand, like, just getting that account because we think everyone's just gonna see our little baby on the shelf and, like, know that it's the next best thing and just pick it up.
I love
And
that you called it your little baby. It's like that's what they are. It's like, here you go. Get it
yeah,
on the
like,
shelf. But
everyone's gonna
that's
love
half the
it.
story. Getting it in is
Getting it
half the
on the
story.
shelf, but, you've gotta have the pretty packaging, the thing that's gonna jump out if consumers have 3-second I was at a trade show, it was the KeHE trade show, and an important buyer came by, I remember, and stood back from the table, right? And I think it was he was standing back, like, exactly the distance as a consumer
Ah,
would be
smart.
going down the aisle, acting as if, like, "What is gonna jump out at me
That's smart.
here?" Yeah, because, I mean, there is the type of shopper like me where I will spend an hour in the store just looking at all the things,
And
but
reading the
having to
labels,
do
right?
that. Yeah,
I mean, more people do read labels, so you do have that
for
as your
sure.
advantage. That's definitely been educated in people.
So
So,
packaging, yeah, first thing is flip to the label. Is it clean? Does it meet my criteria for the ingredients, the calories, definitely the sugar, um, and then the price, right? And so those are the key things. But I mean, first too is like, what kind of placement are you going to have in this store? Because when I first got started, it was I kind of took what I was told I could have, and now it's like, wait, like we need to be sure everyone's set up for success. So is that placement going to help? Is Are we going to be able to sell from that placement?
where are you where do you try to make sure you are placed? What's your ideal
Well, I mean,
spot?
beverage, you always want the cooler, but the cooler is often tight, and with
Not a lot of real
us,
estate in there.
yeah, we're a shelf stable product. Um, so unfortunately, it's I kind of see that aisle as like the waiting room to get into the cooler. So you get put on the aisle in the center store, maybe. It's the warm shelf, and it's not really probably where anyone wants to be unless it's a really such a big brand. That's just kind of where the backstock goes, or that's where your multi-pack goes. But you want your
Right.
single serves in the cooler. So some retailers are saying, well, we'll see how you do here
And
and
then we'll
give
get
you
you
like the
in.
first placement. And then it's like, if you do well enough, we'll move you to the cooler. So we always start with a cooler and go from there.
They've s I had another guest on, and the phrase was, "If it's not cold, it's not sold."
I like that. There's a
But
couple exceptions where we also serve as an alcohol alternative. So that's an opportunity for us is um, we have that opportunity to get placement near the beer and wine in some cases. A
okay, as
lot
an
of
alternative.
Yeah, like a lot of kind of forward thinking retailers now are doing NA sets within the store. It's more than just a mixer set, it's really like adult non alcoholic beverages. And that's usually a shelf. And we have a good fit there because that's part of our brand ethos. It's my background. We talk a lot about it on
Right,
social. We attract a lot of folks in recovery, sober, or just sober curious, or people who are just trying to reduce alcohol for basic health reasons. And that's really that's exciting to me. Like, I love when we can serve that purpose for someone to feel more included in a social setting where before they felt like they didn't have anything to drink. And maybe they even just felt like, well, I'll get a beer, I'll get like alcohol because it's the only thing
that's
here.
being served, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah, well, you're definitely riding a trend right now in that sober curious, which is an unusual phrase, but it's definitely I keep hearing that, more and more.
Mhm.
So sampling in stores obviously works well. Using third party to do that as well, brand ambassadors. What are you doing with that? Has that been successful for you? And what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, does it work well? I mean, that's the question. I think we all assume it does. It definitely does the day we're sampling. Maybe there'll be a lift that month.
Mm.
We're gonna keep, building that
So you
because
question it then. So
I
so
do
so you're
I
questioning.
question it, and every founder I know, I think, questions it. But I don't know if it's just that we don't really want to do it, and like we kind of hope it doesn't work. No, I don't
Right.
think
It's like
anyone
it's
wants
another
to do
it's
it.
another organization you don't wanna have to manage.
No, I mean, we're actually building, I can't talk too much about it yet, but we're building a platform to match up brands and demo providers because I have most success working with independent demo providers, just individuals who are like doing this on the side or maybe even regularly.
Yeah.
And they're really passionate about the brand. They may even reach out to us or I'll find them in stores. Like, we just recruited a woman here. She was at Whole Foods demoing another product, and she's now going to be my local demo person. And she just kind of picks these things up like on the side and is amazing. But that's a lot of work to try to recruit these people,
And find them.
and it's expensive setting up and travel and da da da. And it's like you have this 3 hour window typically. What are you going to do? 3 hours once a month at every single store you're in? Think about number one, the cost. And it's like you only, how many, what about all the other people that come in, like the other, how many 100,000 hours that week? It's just tough.
Yeah, no, that's interesting though because the data that I've heard is that the day you're doing it, you get a lift, and what you're
Sure.
saying is it's just not necessarily the days after. Is that what you're
Well, the
saying?
days you're doing it, I mean, our demo data is um, 75% of people who try Sarilla buy it. So the key there is like getting people over to try it and then, making sure those 75% are they going to be repeat customers? So yeah, there's no doubt about it, but I don't think demos serve a purpose to do just to have a lift that day. That's such short term kind of
Yeah,
thinking. It's more, this is an idea to support our retail launch and to generate repeat customers. And that's the question is like how many people are coming back in. So no, it's important. Like we need to do it. It's just it's it takes a lot of resources.
And it's hard to get the data. I think that to me, that's I know frustrating too, is because the retailers, the grocers, they have data, but it's for them, and that's I know that's challenging because you want to know,
Yeah. Well,
like,
hopefully, I mean, if we go into a store, it's we will ask like, "Hey, today, can you at the end of the day, are you able to send us the data on sales for today?" And they should be able to at the store level. And then for sure, like our demo person is counting, right, like what
right.
they're sampling and selling. But one thing we're trying is we have a new point of purchase display that I created myself, and we're
Mm,
actually managing it internally. Is to we're actually buying the first drink for people, like right at the cooler, right at the shelf, and it's a shelf talker,
right.
and we just put it into stores last week. So we're onboarding that over the next month, and we'll start tracking that. We're testing it out at about 80 stores to begin and see how it does. That's how
I've heard about
confident I
that.
am. I'm like, if this many people really love Sarilla, then I feel fine, giving you $2, $3 to try, to pay for your first can. It's actually less expensive than even doing a demo.
Right. Particularly if they love it and they come back. Yeah, I've heard there's some different, technology companies that are out there that are providing you that ability to reimburse them back. Now, I don't we weren't gonna go into the different IT solutions today, but I
Mhm.
do know there's some different IT providers that are doing that.
Yeah.
And is that kinda what you're talking about where you're
It's
you're
really
reim
simple. It's really simple. We're just using QR technology, and then yeah,
Yeah.
I can't get into the back end, but it's not
Right,
that
right, right.
complicated.
It's not
Yeah.
that complicated. I know it's not that
I don't
complicated,
think
but
you need to use a third party personally, but
oh, so
maybe
you're not using a third party, you're
I came
oh,
up with
you
the idea.
well, yeah, you did say you create okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, I think it's exciting. And
But
what you
then
didn't
back to
mention
the sampling, like, I mean, it may sound obvious, but the greatest opportunity, I think, for the most people to sample product is we take sort of this, like, cluster approach where if we're opening up a new city, what are the events going on? What are the markets nearby? Like, are there things that we can sponsor and then where there's gonna be a mass amount of people, and then we can drive them into the store? I think that's potentially more impactful than even having like a 3-hour demo in the store, because then we can also show retailers like we're helping to bring new people into your store, because we just met them at this event. We spent the weekend at this market, this big yoga festival that's a block away from the store, whatever it is, and they love it and they want to know where to buy it. We could drive them online to purchase it. We'd rather just send them down the street into the store.
see, and I think that's the big lift is that when you can show the buyers that you're bringing more people in, that you're a basket builder and that you're bringing people in.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of new to live streaming, so I kind of miss when people ask questions online, and I just missed one that had come in. So if you had
Yeah.
to choose between your babies, which flavor would be your favorite child?
I
So
know,
what's
we
your
didn't talk about the flavors.
I know I wanted so
I
before
was
we
gonna
go,
crack one. This is, I'll crack it. This is the rooibos honeybush, one of our
rooibos
newest.
honeybush.
Yeah, so rooibos and honeybush grows in Cape Town, South Africa, and this is a regeneratively, wild foraged, actually, ingredient combination, and then I have a fair trade vanilla and orange peel that we blend with that. It's unsweetened, it's sugar free. We don't ever use stevia or erythritol for sweeteners, but my favorite is for the evening. So we have different occasion beverages, but in the evening, I drink the Tulsi lemongrass because it's calming. Tulsi is a really strong adaptogen. It also has chamomile, so it's relaxing. I sleep better at night. And it looks like champagne when you pour it into a glass. So at the end of the day, probably not too early, but like sometime maybe an hour before bed, I'll relax with my husband, pour this into a wine glass. We don't drink alcohol.
That's
And it
fun.
just feels like a nice kind of way to unwind. And it feels like
It's like a
celebratory.
purpose. It's like you can, uh, celebrate a moment and do it in a way that, fits your lifestyle, and that's the sober
Yeah.
lifestyle. But you feel
Yeah.
like but you're not you having to just drink water, which we get kind of bored with.
I drink that all day. Yeah, and
I
it
do too,
doesn't
but it's after a while, it's
it's
like, that's not really like a celebratory.
yeah, yeah, it's boring. It's
It's
but I mean, our drinks don't taste like alcohol, which is another differentiator. Like we don't that can also be kind of triggering to some people, or it's like, what's the point? Some people will ask that. I'm not, criticizing the approach there, but
right.
we're an alcohol free flavor profile. And then in the morning, like I had a white ginger, is probably why I'm talking so fast. I had,
You've all by the way, you've always been like this, so
oh,
I don't
really?
I've maybe well, I'm not talking to you at 10 PM at night when you're doing your
I'm wiped
camo
out. No, I go to
when you're
bed at like
doing your chamomile. I'm
9:30.
always talking to you,
I'm so tired. Yeah.
midday.
No, but I had a white ginger this morning, and that one's got 90 milligrams of plant-based caffeine, 100% from the tea plant. We don't add any synthetic ingredients or caffeine. It's a wine. What'd she say? It's a wind
She's
down
like,
without
"So it's so easy to include in your bedtime rituals." It's a quote unquote wind down
wind
without the
down.
hangover.
I
That's
like
cute.
that.
Nice play on words there. Um, well, okay, so you're
What's
not
your
staying out.
favorite, Tony? What's your favorite flavor? I know
I
you've
think it
tried.
was that you're putting me on the spot. I'm trying to remember because
Mhm.
I've tried them all. I think the chamomile is the one that
Mm,
I enjoyed the most.
okay.
And the problem is I always like to drink it in the morning, and that's not the time to be doing chamomile.
No.
I know, and it's like,
Not
what's
unless you're going for a massage, but I mean
I
that.
know, it's like, what's wrong with me? Maybe here's the thing though. Everyone on my team knows this. I have got so much energy that maybe that's why it kind of even brings me down one because
Yeah, it
I
might
don't
help.
need an alarm clock. I wake up super early. I'm up. I'm going. Sometimes I ride my bike in the morning. So I'm
Mhm.
like front of the house guy, super energy. So to me, having something like that, it doesn't even really to me, it's just it's a great flavor.
Mhm.
Maybe kind of a mood, slight mood
Stable.
alteration. So
Mood alteration, okay.
outright. So that one would be nice for insomniacs. Yes, that would be that would.
Yeah, I definitely.
Well, Sarah, I know you've got more stuff planned today. It's just been great to kind of catch up with you and kind of hear your take. I do think we should probably talk again though about the whole sampling idea because I think we've
Mhm.
touched on something there. Maybe we'll do a panel next time. We'll have some more people and kind of debate that. I'll kind of moderate it.
That would
Kind
be
of-
fun. Yeah, I would love to hear from other founders about their experience there, and, because I think also even doing surveys. Well, here's the other issue is I remember taking statistics as an undergrad. I love that class, and you
oh
think
my God,
about
I hated that class.
really?
That was okay. Anyway, that was a
What did
hard
you
class
do?
for
I
me.
loved it.
That was okay. We're not going to get into
Well,
mathematics, but go ahead. You had a statistics
I
class.
mean, I'm very analytical, and I can overthink things, but there's a benefit to that too. So I think, who's the type of person drawn to a demo table? Because we're missing a whole group of consumers there. And that's what I would like to know more about. Like the people who are buying at a demo, who are they? Like, what's their lifestyle? And then
Mm.
who are we missing? How can we reach them?
Who's
And that's
not
how,
coming up? Why are
who's
they
not
not coming up?
coming.
How do we
Yeah.
reach them?
Yeah, and I think that's where like our QR on the shelf can help because that person may be more like, oh, sure, I'll scan this. The founder's going to buy my first drink. Sure, no problem. I don't want to deal with a demo table and get involved in a conversation and drink something from an open cup. Like, if I don't always want to start engaging 'cause it's like, oh, hi, I really want to sample something, but it's like a whole thing.
You know what? I think, some ways you've answered your own question, but it'd be good to validate that. And
Hmm.
that's kind of like when you walk onto a lot to look at a car,
Yeah.
you're preparing yourself. It's like, okay, God, how bad is the salesperson going to
It
be?
is like that.
You know what I mean? It's like, how much uncomfortableness am I gonna have to go through to try to be nice, to brush them off? Because I really am just looking, you know? And I think that's what you're dealing with is that there's a type of people they just think they're gonna be sold to, you
Yeah.
know? And in a way, you are there to to do that. So I don't know how you overcome that.
There's lots of ways to sample, and I think that's kind of where we just need to think outside the box. You know, it doesn't have to be in the store. We can still
Right.
drive traffic in, but yes, for sure, people need to try something. I think what
Liquid
is
to
it with
lips.
Simon Sinek? Like, is it Power of Why or something? And he talks about
Power
like
of why.
the first. It's maybe only 20% or so of consumers are gonna try something that they're just not sure about, or that they haven't um, or purchase something they haven't tried. So
Late. Okay, so we have someone late to the convo. Convo, have you tried the sample vending machines? I've seen a few brands post
mhm.
about them. No human interaction, no selling, but a free sample. That's kind of interesting.
I
Thank you for
haven't
that
I
comment.
haven't seen that. I wonder where those machines are. If they were in airports, that'd be fun.
Yeah, well, we'll have to, like I said, I think we might have touched on an interesting um, roundtable kind of discussion that we can have next. Thank you for the question, Kate. We'll have to table it for now because, yeah, we're wrapping up our live stream. I just want to thank everyone for stopping by, and if you're watching the recording, thank you for listening and getting a little more of an insight into Sarah and her babies.
Not anymore. I've learned not to get too attached like that. They actually have taken flight. They're their own person.
I
I
got you. All right. Well, that's
I'm just a steward.
well. It sounds like you are a mature parent
We
now.
have to separate at some point.
That's right. That's right. You don't want to go through the anxiety. You're not an empty nester, though. You're in the middle. You're not quite an empty
Definitely
nester.
not.
Um, Sarah, great talking to you again today. And we'll talk again offline, and
Thanks
we'll
for
see if we can keep the conversation going. So I'm going to go ahead and end it now. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy
have
your
a good
Friday. Have a great
weekend.
weekend.
Thank you.